Hey, this is a very random video, as you might expect it when you saw the title, but I'm going to tell you 10 things I'm pretty sure no one that watches my videos, at least who doesn't know me in real life, knows about me. And even the people that do know me a little bit better, for example, maybe Nikki is watching. I don't think you know most of these things either, so let me know how many things did you already know and if I should have changed the title to something else. But first, I'm using this tray, Melior 3D print. This pen, I actually have no idea where this comes from. I think C'est Plus Boatour, because this one was gifted to me by Nikki. And I'm working on this upside down, this canvas, and I am about there. So I'm going to do this WIP Chat style, and as I said, these facts about me are very random. So yeah, it was fun coming up with these, which I think no one of you already knew them. So yeah, let's start with the first one. And the first one is I've never been camping in my life. And by camping I mean in a tent. I've never been camping and I don't feel the desire to do that ever. It's just not something that I think would be fun to me. I do like being in nature, but it's not my idea of an ideal holiday. My ideal holiday, at least before we had kids, was just go to a sunny destination with a nice pool and a nice chill lounging chairs and just relax. Of course, I'd like to go see some stuff, but not too much. Going on vacation for me is relaxing and not moving around all the time and having to walk around the campsite with your toilet roll under your arm to go to the toilet. No, that's not my ideal holiday. So I don't feel the desire to ever go camping, at least in a tent. I know there are also some campsites that already have like little houses or what do you call them? Caravans and all that kind of stuff. And that might be different. And especially with little kids, I can imagine that's really nice to spend your holiday like that. Especially when they're a bit older and they can play with all the other kids around. But for now, I don't have the desire to. And I've also never been on skiing or snowboarding holiday, which I don't really know if that's as big of a thing in the whole world as it is for us Dutch people, but a lot of people in January, February, December go on a skiing trip, especially to Austria or Switzerland or the south of Germany and all that kind of stuff. I've never done that before either, and I don't intend to do that ever either. That's also not my idea of a holiday. But apparently I'm missing out because everyone who does go yearly is really crazy about it. So maybe I need to, but no, don't see that happening anytime soon. So that was the first point. Then the next point is one that I thought of Tuesday. Last Tuesday, I needed to get my pregnancy vaccine shot, to make sure the baby will not get sick in the first few months with, I should have looked up the translation for this disease, but kinkhoest, which is like coughing really bad and not being able to take breath and get air. That shot is one that I got on Tuesday, and when you as the mother get that shot, that means your baby's protected in the first few months and that the baby doesn't need to get a shot that early in his life. So that's why I decided to do it. Of course, everything for our babies, but I absolutely hate doing that. I hate needles. It's mainly the idea of needles. I mean, it doesn't hurt that bad. It's not that bad. It's not that serious. I know that. But even just getting my blood drawn, I hate that kind of stuff. And then you have to realize that I also give injections to people when I'm doing my job. If you didn't know, I'm a dental hygienist, and I also give people shots to numb their gums when they think stuff that I'm about to do is going to be too painful. I do give them those shots, and when I was in school to become a dental hygienist, we also had to practice giving these shots on each other. So you can imagine that was the best day of my life. Not. I really was dreading it so much, and then on top of that, I get the feeling of fainting pretty easily when it comes to needles. I didn't actually faint when we were trying out the shots on each other in school, but it did come close. I really was about to, so that was a bit embarrassing. But it's just funny to me that I hate getting vaccinations and my blood drawn and all that kind of stuff so bad, and then I have to do it to other people on a weekly basis when I'm doing my job. So thought that was a funny little fact as well. And I forgot to mention at the beginning of the video, I have a light right there. It's actually 9:30 in the morning, but it's such a dark and gloomy day that it was just too dark to film without a light on. So hope you don't mind. And then the third point is baby naming. We haven't picked out the name for this baby that I'm pregnant with now yet. We have narrowed it down to 2 options, I think, but that very well might still change. We have a little less than 3 months to be thinking about the name and to decide on it. So yeah, and another little fun fact, my mom doesn't know the names that we are thinking about, the 2 names, but lately she has been mentioning 3 names to me that she thinks would be nice for our baby and that would fit together with our other boys' names. And 2 of those 3 names that she mentioned are actually the names that we are thinking about. So that's really a coincidence because we never talked about that before. So I don't know how she came up with those. I clearly didn't tell them to her, and she didn't tell them to me before either. So yeah. But yeah, it's just hard. We already have 2 boys. We used up the names that we like best for them. Duh. And now with this 3rd boy coming, it's just hard to find a name that we actually love. The ones that we are contemplating now, we do really like, but do we like/love them enough to name our baby that? I'm not sure. We will have to if we don't come up with any other names, but yes, as I said, we might still find some new name that we like better. Who will tell? I guess time will tell. But what I also wanted to share is that with Nate, our 2nd baby, we didn't name him until after a few hours that he was born. We were contemplating 2 names for him too. And actually, in the last few weeks of the pregnancy, someone mentioned the name Nate to me as an option, and we had that in the back of our minds. And then when he was born, we were thinking of naming him Guy or Nate. And then ultimately decided on Nate. I decided that. Obviously, my husband was fine with both names, otherwise I wouldn't have had the privilege of choosing the name, but I just felt like Nate fit better with him and with us and with Dex. Yeah, it fit better than Kai did. And I'm mentioning Kai now because that's not going to be the name of this baby. I don't think that fits with us anymore, so that's not going to be the name. But we already have Dex, as I said, and Nate, and we want the third baby also to have kind of a short, easy to pronounce name, and also a name that's like international, if you know what I mean. We live in the Netherlands. We have a lot of names that are very hard to pronounce for people who speak another language than Dutch, and I don't want that for our kids, just because everything, the whole world is getting smaller and smaller in that way, and the chance of him or one of our kids maybe studying or even moving abroad or having a job where English people need to pronounce their names, I don't want them to struggle with that, with explaining how their name is pronounced their whole life. So that's a really strong point that I consider when naming my kids. So it's pretty hard, but as I said, we have 2 options right now, which I'm already pretty happy about, because at the beginning of this pregnancy I really didn't know. And then moving on to the 4th point, and that is that I really hate arguments. I try to avoid them at all costs. I used to be very shy as a kid. That probably ties into that as well. I forgot some of that symbol down there. And I was always very afraid to speak up, to speak my mind, to speak in public, to go against the grain, if you will. That has become a lot better in adulthood. I do say what I think now, but if there's a way to avoid conflict, then I will at all costs. I just hate that. I hate the feeling of being in a fight with someone. Of course, now you're gonna say and think, nobody likes fighting with people. I know, but it really is. Yeah, especially with the people close to you, it's just a horrible feeling, and I try to avoid that at all costs. I'm not saying that is the best, because there are some situations where I wish I would have spoken up earlier. That would have avoided some unnecessary hard things as well. But yeah, that's just me. And then the next point is I have a little vegetable garden. I don't think I've ever shared that here before, or maybe I did. Let me know if I did. But for the last two or 3 years, I don't remember, I've had 2 big planter boxes in my garden, and some strawberry plants and some other pots separately where I've had a vegetable garden in, and I've always wanted to do that. I have done that once before, about 10 years ago or so, I would say. Then I bought a little plastic greenhouse and put that up in our garden, but then it didn't really work that well. So I gave up after the first year. But then in all those years, I always had an interest to have an actual little vegetable garden that did produce. So I researched it a little bit, bought some books, watched a lot of YouTube on it, and then I started my garden. And I really enjoyed doing that. It does take quite a bit of time. That is also why I won't be doing pretty much anything this coming year, because like the gardening season in the Netherlands starts like March, April maybe, but is in the peak and is its busiest around May, June, which is exactly when this baby is due. So I don't have the time or the mental capacity to be thinking about that this year. So I do have some strawberry plants that I don't have to do too much for. So those are still going to give us some strawberries, hopefully. And maybe I'll plant some stuff like carrots or lettuce or that kind of stuff that you don't really need to do anything for, and they will still grow. Maybe I will do that. But yeah, really not much this year. Next year I'll give the garden a little revamp. It really needs it. So then I will get back into the gardening hobby some more, but probably not this year, which is fine. You can't do it all, unfortunately. Then I was going to talk about, I think, a very controversial thing. At least I don't think everyone is going to be too happy with me when I say this, but I don't like pets. And especially I'm talking about cats and dogs, especially dogs. I don't like dogs. I don't like the way they lick your hand, and I don't like the way they bark. I don't like the way their fur gets everywhere. I don't like the way that you have to walk them a few times a day. I don't like dogs. And I never really liked dogs. We never had dogs growing up. Maybe that's the reason that I don't like them. My husband did have 3 big dogs when we met. So they had to come with us when we moved here, and I was very excited about that. But of course I didn't ask him to get rid of them or anything. That is not a thing that I can do, that I ever want to do. But I didn't do anything with them. They were his dogs, and he could go out with them. He could feed them. He could clean their cage and all that kind of stuff. It's not my thing. I've never had cats either. So I might like cats if I ever had one, if I had ever had a nice one, but I didn't, so I don't really like cats either. I don't hate them. I don't dislike them. That's a better way of putting it. As much as I like dogs, as I dislike dogs, what I meant. But yeah, no, I don't see myself getting a cat either. We did have guinea pigs and rabbits when I was growing up, and we also had a hamster at one point. Those little animals I do like, and maybe I would get one of those, probably a rabbit, again in the future, but not in the near future. I just feel like with having little kids, there's just so much to do already in a day, and a pet doesn't add enough in my mind to make it worth it, all the extra work and time spent on them. So I don't see that happening. I of course understand that having pets with your kids can be good for their development, to have them to learn to love animals and all that kind of stuff, but they can just do that with their grandparents and with friends at school, not at home. So no. Then I have the one and only diamond painting fact about me that I was going to talk about in this video, which is I've never done a partial. And a partial is where only part of the canvas is printed, where you can lay your drills, and the other part is just just image, just printed on, and there no drills need to go on there, so you're left with a partially drilled canvas. I've never done any of those, and I don't plan on doing any of those. I don't really like the idea of them, and I've never seen one that I actually really like, so that's also the reason, of course, why I haven't done one before. But I'm not really interested in those, as I am not interested in doing any Paint Jam minis or mini dazzles, or just the mini canvases that are brought out left, right, and center right now. I'm not interested in those either. So yeah, those are some things that diamond painting related that I don't see myself doing. Then another thing that I wanted to talk about, which has changed quite a bit since having kids. I used to be a very cleaning and organizing person. I had an actual cleaning schedule written down, and with like the extra stuff like window cleaning, cleaning out closets, doing the extra deep cleaning kind of stuff. I had a schedule for that so that I didn't forget anything. I kept up with that pretty much until we had kids, and then I had to let that go. I would still consider myself an organized person. I don't consider myself a cleaning person anymore. I clean what needs to be cleaned, what I can see that is dirty. Of course, I also deep clean sometimes. That just needs to be happening. But I don't clean nearly to the extent that I used to. I just don't have the time, don't have the motivation also to do so, because when having little kids, you can clean all you want. It's not going to stay clean anyway. So I've given up. Not given up on cleaning. We do still have a relatively clean house, but the organizing is still something that I really love to do. I love to have my closet and our cabinets and all that kind of stuff organized, because I feel like an organized house is an organized mind. And I really need that to be able to live comfortably in my house. To not have stuff everywhere, to have everything have its own designated place so that it's easy to clean up as well. Then we are left with the last two little facts about me. And the second to last is I hate beans. Beans as in to eat, beans to eat. I've tried so many different ways of trying to love them, of me getting to love them, because I know they're very good for you. Like the protein and all that kind of stuff. But I hate the texture. It's a texture thing for me. I really hate that. It's not the taste, because they don't really taste like anything. You can pretty much season them up how you like, and they will taste the way you season them. But it's really, really a texture thing. It's really dry and mealy, and no. And then when I see people making chili online, I'm like, oh, I would love to love that, but I just don't. I do sort of like green beans, but those are really different in my opinion. They're not beans. They're not the dry, mealy kind of beans. So, and that's one of the few things that I really dislike eating. I also don't really care for truffle taste. I know a lot of people really like that, but no, that's also not my thing. And what else? I also don't like beets, but that's maybe because I've never had them prepared properly. I don't know, they just taste like dirt to me, so we don't eat that either. And then I don't know. Oh yeah, mustard is something I really hate as well. Ugh, ugh. I have tried that in different ways as well. I actually made a few recipes especially for me to try to get used to the taste of mustard, but no, that's not happening. Then the last point on my list is I wouldn't consider myself a creative person. This is my actual first kind of creative hobby. I don't know if I actually would call this hobby very creative. You're not coming up with anything yourself. You're just filling in what's already laid out there. So I don't know how much creativity actually comes with this hobby, but I have had a little period that I was drawing a little bit, but I never did that enough to get good at it, if that makes sense. So I stopped after a while. And for the rest, I never had any really creative hobbies. My mom is very creative. She is always doing something creative, like making cards, like postcards, or crocheting, or yeah, she's always doing something creative. And I really didn't inherit that from her. Although my husband does think that I am creative in creating like the stickers for the putty and all that kind of stuff, but that's also different to me. It is in my mind, being creative is actually creating something physical with your hands, if that makes sense. So yeah, that's the last point that I was going to talk about, and I'm just going to stop here. I didn't finish this. Obviously, as you can see, I'm going to continue working on this a little bit, and then in about half an hour we have to leave for our 3D sonogram of our baby. So very excited to get to look at him again and to see his cute little face. So yeah. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please subscribe to my channel, leave me a like, and as I said in the beginning, let me know which of the 10 things that I told you you did already know about me, and maybe you want to share some random facts about yourself as well. That would be fun. So hope you have an amazing day, and I'll see you next time. Bye.